Expect me like you expect Jesus to come back. Expect me, I'm coming.
On the neck, Tupac. Call me Tupac.
And take my Tupac picture and just read.
The word like Machiavelli. All eyes on me, but I'm no Tupac.
So Versace is about Tupac and Biggie. Is that true?
We was going crazy.
It's inspired by Tupac and Biggie? So who was the greatest rapper ever, Tupac or Biggie?
Tupac went ham.
I like Pop
He
that gangsta.
was
He
gonna
was
cut him.
he didn't give him.
Quavo too. They say you look like Quavo.
Yeah, that you know, we grew up together.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, me and Offset. And you know, Quay used to be around. We used to be around Quay too.
I Google your name, and this is funny. It asks if you and Quavo are related.
We might be. We tight.
Really, you're that close?
Yeah, we might.
I was surprised by that. I'm like, why does it say that? You know, people are actually Googling this. How long have you guys known? Did you know each other before you were famous?
Yeah.
Really? So tell me about that.
It's like well, Offset used to be in my neighborhood all the time.
Okay.
You feel me? So we used to always be like gambling and stuff like that, and I used to sell Jordans and stuff. So they would be at Quavo mama house. You feel me? They'll come to the east side. You feel me? When the Migos first popped off, they used to come to the east side a lot. I remember Quavo was like, my face card's so good I can go kick with Block Gang in Decatur. That's a click from my hood.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So we all knew each other. That's why the success now would be like, dang, we was all in that pot.
How y'all feeling today? I know the world love to call me Quavo. Luckily, Quavo is like one of my best friends. Damn near my cousin, so we family. So luckily, you know what I'm saying?
Today's video is going to be about Tupac and Quavo. They've been doing a lot of damage control with Tupac's character recently. In case you guys didn't know, Keefe was indicted for the murder of Tupac. So they're bringing this back because we've been exposing Tupac so much that they now have to do damage control and get people to think that he actually died. So in this video, I'll show you guys proof that Tupac's fake death was scripted, and I'm also going to show you guys Tupac's two other characters on the world stage. Ironically, his name is Tupac and he has two other characters on the world stage right now. So before I get into all of the connections, I want to take a look at some really good side-by-side comparisons that I made of Tupac and Quavo. So as you guys can see right here, Tupac and Quavo look exactly alike. They have the same eyes, a similar nose, and their mouth is very similar as well. And when you look at pictures of Tupac and Quavo with glasses, you can really see the resemblance, especially right here, because they have the same type of glasses as well. So that just makes it really obvious. Here's another really good side-by-side comparison of Quavo and Tupac. And Tupac's second character on the world stage right now is Jacquees. And right away, I'm sure you guys notice a similarity with all three of them, because not only do they look exactly alike, but they're all musicians. You know, Tupac was a rapper, Quavo is a rapper, and Jacquees is a singer. So all three of these characters are musicians on the world stage. And since Jacquees is one of Tupac's characters, this is why Jacquees and Quavo look exactly alike, because these two characters were created off the image of Tupac. So this is why both of these characters look exactly alike, and they resemble Tupac as well because he was the base character. So here's some more comparisons of Tupac and Quavo. And right here you can see that they have the same facial hair, and they also have the same bushy eyebrows as well. And if you look closely, you can see that they have the same bottom lip, because Tupac had a very saggy bottom lip. And right here we can see that Quavo has that same bottom lip as Tupac. And on top of that, we can even see that they have the same exact smile in these comparisons. So this one is just really obvious, man. So here's another good comparison of their smiles. Now let's get into the gematria, because not only do these two characters look identical, but they also have the same gematria. So Quavo equals 22 and Tupac also equals 22 in gematria. And it gets even deeper than that because they also have the same gematria in the same cipher. So as you guys can see, Tupac equals 13 and Quavo equals 31, which is 13 in reverse. So they literally have the same numbers in gematria. And a huge connection is the fact that Tupac's real name was Tupac and Quavo's real name is Quavius. So both of these characters' stage names come from their real names. And also Jacquees' middle name is Jacquees. So basically all three of these characters' stage names came from their real names. Now let's take a look at some more connections with their real names. So Tupac Shakur's real name is Tupac Amaru Shakur. And Quavo's real name is Quavius Marshall. when you look at their last names, Tupac and Quavo's last names have the same gematria. So Tupac's last name is Shakur, which equals 84, and Quavo's last name is Marshall, which also equals 84. So not only do their stage names have the same gematria, but their real names also. Right here we see that Quavius equals 223, and Tupac also equals 223. So these two characters are connected in so many ways. And as most of you guys know, 223 is the Skull and Bones number in reverse. As you guys can see, the Skull and Bones number is 322, and Tupac and Quavius both equal 223. And as you guys can see, Tupac has this picture with Biggie, and he's wearing the Skull and Bones logo on his shirt. So this is a deep connection right here, because Tupac was not a real person, and I'll be exposing that towards the end of this video, because he was just a character for the world stage. You know, he was only created to push an agenda. So right here we can see that Tupac and Quavo are doing the same hand gestures. They both love flipping off their fans. And then right here we can see that Tupac is doing the thumbs up hand gesture, and Quavo has many pictures doing the same hand gesture as well. Another connection is the fact that Tupac and Quavo are both 5 letters. So there's just so many connections between these characters. Make sure you guys go watch the 2 other videos I made about this topic after you watch this video, and also go check out Divine Sade's video about this as well. I'll put a link to all 3 of these videos in the description. So my most recent video about Tupac was last year in 2022, and the title of this video is Tupac is Alive as Quavo. So I dropped this video on October 13th, 2022, and Offset responded right after with this post. As you guys can see, Offset posted this picture of Tupac on October 22nd, 2022, which was exactly 9 days after my video exposing Quavo as Tupac, and Quavo is Offset's best friend, so this is why Offset responded right away. And notice in the caption he said, "I didn't come to play." So it's like he's angry that I even exposed Quavo in this video. And also, this picture that he posted is from a video of Tupac where he's spitting at people and just being overall aggressive and angry. So I just find that funny that he posted Tupac 9 days after my video, you know, and some people might think that's just a coincidence. But honestly, if you do your research, it's not a coincidence, because none of the Migos have ever posted Tupac. If you go look at all of their social medias, none of them have one post about Tupac. But as soon as I make a video exposing Quavo for being Tupac, Offset posts this picture of Tupac. So it's not a coincidence. And what's also weird about this is the fact that he posted this on October 22nd, 2022. And 9 days later, Takeoff faked his death in Houston, Texas. So I just found that weird that Offset posted this picture of Tupac 9 days after my video, and then 9 days later, his friend Takeoff fakes his death. So this was all damage control, because I've exposed both of these characters in the past. And right here we can see that Takeoff has this picture where he's wearing a Tupac shirt, and he's standing right next to Quavo. So this is a huge connection, because Quavo's character is based off of Tupac. And I found this video of Takeoff listening to Tupac, so this is another big connection. Hopefully they don't copyright this video, so I'll try to speed up the video so it won't get copyrighted. But either way, you guys can clearly hear that he's listening to Tupac. So now let's get into Quavo's response to my video. So I made this video about Tupac and Quavo in 2022, and Quavo responded after I made this video.
All eyes on me, but I'm no Tupac.
So right there, Quavo said, "All eyes on me, but I'm no Tupac." And this is obviously damage control to my video, because not only is he mentioning All Eyes on Me, which is one of Tupac's biggest albums, but he's also responding to my video by saying he's not Tupac. After me and Divine Sade have multiple videos exposing him for being Tupac, I dropped this video on October 13, 2022. And 10 months later, Quavo responds on his new album on August 18th. So this was obviously after my video, and I found it interesting that he dropped this song on August 18th, because Tupac's middle name is Amaru, and Amaru equals 18. just like die in the same cipher. Another connection I found with this song is the fact that it's titled 1111, and 11 plus 11 is 22. And like I showed you guys earlier, Tupac and Quavo both equal 22 in gematria. So there's just so many connections between Tupac and Quavo at this point. And shout out to Zarek Jones because he's one of my subscribers and he let me know that Quavo responded to my video. So shout out to everyone that lets me know when they respond. It's really helpful because I didn't even know that Quavo responded to my video. Another interesting connection I found with the number 22. Tupac and Died both equal 22 in the same cipher. And then Quavo and Died both equal 22 as well in the same cipher. So Quavo is connected to Died because his older character died. And he's also connected to this word because his best friend Takeoff also died. I also noticed that Quavo dropped a music video for 1111 on August 28th. And ironically, Takeoff faked his death at age 28 and kill equals 28. So that was a very interesting connection. If you guys want more information about Takeoff, you guys can go watch the 3 videos that I have about him. I'll put a link to those videos in the description. I highly recommend you check out those videos if you haven't, because I really exposed the scripting of Takeoff's fake death. Another connection between Tupac and Quavo. Quavo has this song with the Migos called Tupac and Biggie. And in this song he says, "I'm the next Tupac."
I'm the next Tupac.
And that's not the only time the Migos have referenced Tupac. There's also this other song where they mention Machiavelli, and Tupac changed his stage name to Machiavelli before he faked his death. Another connection is the fact that the Migos did an interview 9 years ago, and they were questioned about whether they prefer Tupac or Biggie. And we see that Offset says that he prefers Biggie, but then we see that Quavo and Takeoff said that they prefer Tupac.
So Versace is about Tupac and Biggie? Is that true?
We was going crazy.
It's inspired by Tupac and Biggie? So was the greatest rapper ever, Tupac or Biggie?
Mine, Biggie. Tupac went ham.
I like Pop that
He
gangster.
was
He was
gonna
just,
cut him.
he didn't give him. He was just, you know what I'm saying? He was just all with it, whatever.
And notice how Quavo said Tupac went ham. You know, he specifically kept mentioning Tupac and he never even talked about Biggie.
So if they were alive today, I'm just wondering, do you guys think that how do you think their careers would have been?
A lot of rappers won't be out today.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because a lot of them doing what they doing. Or doing what they did. And you know, they ain't really too much like folks doing their style, taking their style.
Mm-hmm.
Like back then when people were taking the style, they was getting in trouble about it. You was getting exposed about it. You had to come with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now everybody, you know what I'm saying, bite off each other, feed off each other. I ain't saying nothing bad, but they weren't allowing that in the 90s. You was with one side and one side on.
Wow. That's real.
So Tupac's original name was Lassane Parrish Crooks. His mom later changed his name to Tupac Amaru Shakur. And I bring this up because his middle name Parrish has the same gematria as Quavo's first name, Quavius. As you can see, Quavius and Parrish both equal 35 and 91 in the same ciphers. Another connection is the fact that Tupac and Quavo are the same height. As you guys can see, Tupac is listed as 5'10", and Quavo is also listed as 5'10". And even though their height doesn't really matter, because when they create a new character, they usually change their height and their weight and a few other minor details. But I bring this up because they didn't even bother to change Tupac's height when they created Quavo. And Quavo has referenced Tupac so many times. Here's a video from 5 years ago where Quavo was bumping Tupac, and hopefully I don't get copyrighted, so I'll try to speed up the video, but you can clearly hear that he's listening to Tupac's music in the background. Now let's talk about all of the people that Tupac was around, because Quavo was around the same people. So right here we see that Tupac was around Snoop Dogg a lot, and Quavo has multiple pictures with Snoop Dogg as well. As you can see, they're both together right here. And then Tupac has this picture with Diddy, and Quavo has pictures with Diddy as well, as you guys can see. And this is a big connection because right now they're trying to say that Diddy was involved in Tupac's murder. And I've already exposed Diddy in the past, so you guys can go watch my video about that. The link to that video is in the description. So now let's talk about the Left Eye and Saweetie connection. So in case you guys didn't know, Left Eye's new character on the world stage is Saweetie. And I made a video about this last year. And Divine Sade made a video about it the year before that. So you guys can go watch our videos about that. The links are in the description. And it's important to know that Saweetie is based off of Left Eye, because when you understand that, then you can see the connection. So in case you guys didn't know, Left Eye dated Tupac before they died. And Left Eye is Saweetie and Quavo is Tupac. And the big connection here is that Quavo and Saweetie dated as well. These two characters dated each other with both of their characters. You know, it's all in plain sight.
Tupac, what did he mean to me? It was a little weird being in the presence of Tupac, and very similar. Similar to the point where we almost clashed. Both Geminis. And it was almost like 4 people being in a room.
And notice how Saweetie is covering one of Quavo's eyes, so he's doing one eye symbolism. And notice how Quavo is wearing a red bandana, similar to how Tupac used to always wear a red bandana. And one thing I noticed by looking at these pictures of Tupac with a red bandana, it looks like he has red horns on the top of his head. And he did this on purpose because he was a low vibrational character. This is why he wore red all the time, because the root chakra is the lowest vibrational state you can be in. And like I said in the past, there's nothing wrong with the root chakra. It's actually important to keep balanced. The problem is celebrities promote more negativity than positivity, and Tupac is no exception, because even though he did say some truth in some of his videos, he still contradicted himself many times in his music and in many other interviews as well. So they love mixing truth with lies. So this is why I wouldn't trust what any celebrity says, because they all mix truth with lies. So another connection is that Tupac loved taking pictures with the middle finger, and ironically Saweetie is doing the middle finger in this picture with Quavo, where he's wearing the red bandana just like Tupac. So speaking of negativity, this is what I mean. If you notice in the media, 99% of what they pump out is negativity. And as you guys can see, Quavo got in a fight with Saweetie in an elevator, right? And this is a huge connection because Tupac was actually shot in an elevator back in 1994. Tupac was shot 5 times in the elevator at Quad Studios in Times Square during a robbery. And it's kind of ironic that he was shot at Quad Studios, and Quad has QUA just like Quavo. But anyways, this is a big connection because Tupac gets shot in an elevator, and then Quavo gets into a fight in an elevator as well. And they did predictive programming because Tupac has this movie where he's in an elevator and then shortly after he gets shot in an elevator. Another connection I found with the music video that Quavo responded with. In this music video, he's wearing a shirt with the number 94, and I found that interesting because Tupac was shot in 1994 in the elevator. And on top of that, this 94 that he's wearing in this music video is also a reference to his other character, Jacquees, who was born in 1994. So all of these characters are connected. Now let's get into the Madonna connection. So Tupac dated Madonna back in the day, and Quavo dated Madonna in 2018. As you guys can see, there's this article from 2018 that says Madonna has a new boyfriend, 27-year-old rapper Quavo of Migos. And it's true, these two characters were basically dating. Even G-Eazy said that he saw Madonna twerking on Quavo at a party. So she wouldn't be twerking on Quavo for no reason. Obviously, these two were dating just like Tupac and Madonna. And this is an interesting connection because these two characters have multiple songs together, and they even performed together, right? And one of the songs that they performed in 2019 is called Future. As you can see, Madonna and Quavo performed Future in their Eurovision set, and the date is May 19th, 2019. So keep that in mind. They performed a song called Future back in 2019, before the lockdown and before all of those hoaxes that they did in 2020, and even the hoaxes that they're doing right now. So the reason I bring this up is because in this performance, they did a lot of predictive programming of what was to come in the future. So right here we see that Madonna kills this person that is wearing a mask, and this was back in 2019. So this was predictive programming of what was to come in 2020, where people started wearing a mask. And in the song she says, not everyone can come into the future. Not everyone is coming to the future. Not everyone that's here is going to last. Not everyone that's here is going to last. So that was really creepy, because one of their agendas is to lower the population, and I can't talk about that too much on here, so I recommend you guys go sub to my Patreon and watch my health documentary, because I explained it more in that video, and also in my water video. So moving along, they did more predictive programming in this performance. So take a look at this picture. If you pay close attention to the people at the bottom, they're wearing two certain flags, and these two flags should stand out to you because of what they're doing in these countries on the world stage. And on top of that, notice how she's repeating not everyone that's here is gonna last while they're showing these two flags. So if you still don't know what these two flags are, here's a closer look. So I'm sure you guys can see where I'm getting with this, because right now these two countries that these two flags are from are in conflict. Here's the two flags from the video. And ironically, both of these countries are in conflict right now. You know, I can't go too deep into that on here, but just know that all of this was staged and scripted. I'll do a video exposing this more on my Patreon, so make sure you subscribe over there. The link is in the description. But yeah, man, I just find it crazy that in this performance, they're showing predictive programming for 2020 and 2023. And it's not a coincidence, because of all the flags to put on someone's back, they specifically put these two flags. And notice in the song they're saying it's the future where you come from. And ironically, right now I'm in the future watching this video of something they did in the past that was predictive programming for what was in the future, which is right now. So it's really crazy what they did here. Now let's move on to the next character, which is Jacquees. As you guys can see, Tupac and Jacquees look exactly alike right here. And again, Jacquees is wearing the same glasses as Tupac and Quavo. And this one is really obvious because Jacquees has so many things connected with Tupac. As you can see, he has a bandana just like Tupac. Then he's wearing this cross just like Tupac. And then he also has this nose piercing on the left side of his nose, just like Tupac. As you can see, they both have the same nose piercing. They have the same eyes, and they're wearing the same glasses. And if you take a close look at their eyes, you can really see that they have the same exact eyes. Shout out to Sade for making this comparison of their eyes, because it's crazy how similar their eyes are. You can even see the similarities in this picture right here. Jacquees is always referencing Tupac. He's put this one in our face many times. Right here, he's wearing a Tupac shirt. And then right here, he said R.I.P. Tupac. And he's sitting in a tub, which is the same picture that Tupac took back in the day. So he recreated Tupac's picture. So it couldn't be any more obvious that this is one of Tupac's characters in plain sight. And then Jacquees has this song where he basically admits he's Tupac, because he says, "Call me Tupac." Check this out. Call me Tupac. And then we see that Jacquees has remixed one of Tupac's songs called I Get Around. Jacquees has this song called I Get Around, and this is the same song that Tupac made back in the day. So he even remixed one of Tupac's songs. Then we see that his real name is Rodriguez. Rodriguez and Tupac have the same gematria of 61. So that's a huge connection as well. The fact that his real name matches up with Tupac. And then in 2013, Jacquees referenced Tupac. He said he's been up watching Tupac all morning. Pac said he stayed in Decatur, Georgia. And then he said salute because he's from Decatur as well. And then he laughed. So he's admitting in plain sight that he's Tupac. The fact that he even mentioned that Tupac lived in Decatur, Georgia, which is where he's from. And then he laughed afterward because of how obvious it is that he's Tupac. And then the next year in 2014, he said Tupac back. So he's obviously referring to himself. And then he said happy birthday Tupac that same year. And then in 2019, he made a tweet where he referenced one of Tupac's songs. As you guys can see, this is the name of one of Tupac's songs. And then in 2020, he said he's on his Tupac Machiavelli. So this character has just referenced Tupac so many times. He put this one in plain sight more than Quavo, because even in 2021, he said happy 50th birthday to Tupac, one of the best to ever do it. And then in 2015, he said, my first movie audition is tomorrow, mood Tupac. And this is a big connection because Tupac was an actor as well. And Quavo is also an actor. I forgot to put it in here, but Quavo was in a movie recently. So all three of these characters are musicians and actors. So that's a big connection. And here's the video of Jacquees dressed up as a mailman. And he said he's going to start acting.
I'm out here shooting this movie. You feel me? Nah, actually, I quit, y'all. I'm a mailman. You feel me? I quit.
This is a direct connection to Tupac because he's dressed up as a mailman. And Tupac played the role of a mailman in this movie Poetic Justice. Another connection is that Jacquees has this song where he said she pulled up and set it off just like she Jada Pinkett. So he referenced Jada Pinkett in this song.
She pull up and set it off just like she Jada Pinkett.
And this is a big connection because Tupac basically dated Jada Pinkett. You know, even though they never officially dated in the media, but Jada Pinkett recently admitted that Tupac proposed to her while he was in jail. So these two characters basically were together at one point. Now let's move on to some more connections with Tupac and Jacquees because they're also connected in gematria. So Tupac's real name was Lassane Parrish Crooks. His last name Crooks has the same gematria as Jacquees. They both equal 81 and 27. In the same ciphers. So the funny thing about Tupac being Jacquees and Quavo is the fact that Tupac was bald majority of his career and Jacquees and Quavo had long hair majority of their career. So that could be a big distraction for people to not see the resemblance, even though it's still very obvious that they look alike. But I bring this up because Tupac made a reference to his future characters in this video because he's wearing a wig. And he looks very similar to Jacquees and Quavo. Check this out. So not only was that clip a reference to his future characters having long hair, you know, because Jacquees and Quavo have long hair, Tupac has many zesty pictures and videos. You guys can go watch me and Devon Sade's older videos about Tupac because we showed a lot of zesty things that he has done. But I'm not really going to get into that with this video. So now that I've exposed how Tupac is the base character of Jacquees and Quavo, let's move on to the similarities between Quavo and Jacquees. So I made a video about this 2 years ago where I exposed Quavo and Jacquees because as you guys can see, they look exactly alike right here. And back then I didn't know that Tupac was the base character. So looking back on it now, it's crazy how much I've evolved from back then. You know, I've gotten deeper with my videos because I really want to expose all of their characters to let people know that they're all fake. Because there's so many people that look up to Tupac and they don't realize that he's deceiving us right in front of our faces with Quavo and Jacquees. Another connection between Quavo and Jacquees is the fact that Quavo's birthday is April 2nd and Jacquees' birthday is April 15th. So these two characters' birthdays are 13 days apart. As you can see, the duration between April 2nd and April 15th is 13 days. And this is a big connection because Tupac faked his death on September 13th. And on top of that, Tupac equals 13 in gematria. And then we also see that fake and died equal 13 as well because he faked his death on September 13th. So this is a huge connection. Now let's get into the scripting of Tupac's death because this character's death was very scripted. As you guys can see, Tupac and Die have the same gematria in 3 ciphers. And then Tupac faked his death at age 25 and death equals 25. And Tupac was literally signed to Death Row Records. This shows that he was directly connected to death. So Tupac's original name was Lassane Crooks, and his mother changed his name to Tupac Amaru, and she recycled this name from a Peruvian revolutionary named Tupac Amaru II. So this shows that his name was recycled. Tupac Amaru is derived from the name Tupac Amaru, which loosely translated means shining serpent. Even when you look up the definition, It says snake, serpent, viper, anaconda, large snake. So this shows that Tupac was not a good character. He was created to deceive and control the masses. You know, some people pointed out how his name literally means to program and control. So that was his agenda. And when you look it up, Amaru is actually a creature in Incan mythology. Here's a sketch of an Amaru, and this is weird demonic creature. And his middle name Amaru has the same gematria as Dai. They both equal 18 and 14 in the reduction and septenary ciphers. And then he changed his stage name to Machiavelli before he died. And Machiavelli equals 74, just like killing. And then his original name was Lesane Parish Crooks, which equals 107, just like shooting. So he was scripted to be killed in a shooting. And his middle name is Parish, and Parish means suffer death, typically in a violent, sudden, or untimely way. So don't you guys find it weird that his middle name literally means to die in a violent way, and then later on he ends up getting shot, which means he died in a violent way? So this whole character was scripted, man. There's just so much stuff to talk about. You know, I'm not even bringing up all the times he talked about death in his songs. You know, he has that song Life Goes On, which is all about death. He even references how he's gonna die in that song as well. So there's just so many more things I could bring up, but I don't want to make this video too long. So let's move on with some more connections. But you guys can let me know in the comments any other songs or times he's mentioned death, because there was so many of them. So anyways, another connection he has with death is his first name, Lesane, equals 20, just like death in the same cipher. And then we see that Lesane Crooks equals 47, just like fake person in the same cipher, because Tupac was a fake person. He was a scripted character on the world stage. This is why his last name is Crooks, and his character was a crook. You know, a crook is a criminal. This is why he had the group The Outlaws. You know, it's all scripted. It's in his name to be a criminal. So now let's talk about Tupac's last picture. You know, the most famous picture of Tupac. He's sitting down in the passenger seat next to Suge Knight. First thing we need to point out, why is there no key in the ignition? So let's zoom in right now. Take a look at the ignition. There's no key. You know, you don't see a keychain. You don't see a key inside it. Nothing. So that's the first suspicion. You know, Suge Knight looks like he's pretending to be driving, but yet there's no key in the ignition. So that's very questionable about this picture. Another questionable thing about this picture is the date. So if you look at the bottom right corner, I'll zoom in for you guys so you can see it clearly. It says that this picture was taken on September 8th, 1996, right? But when you look it up, Tupac was shot on the night of September 7th, 1996. So if he was shot on September 7th and this picture was taken before he was shot, why is the date September 8th, which is the day after he was shot? You know, it doesn't make sense. And then to get even deeper with this, Tupac was shot supposedly on September 7th, 1996, right? So why did he die 6 days later on September 13th? That doesn't make any sense. How can you get shot and die 6 days later? 99% of the time when somebody gets shot, they're either going to die that day or the next day. It rarely ever drags on for 6 more days. You know, that doesn't really make sense. And the reason for this is because it was all fake and staged. As you can see, Tupac has the same gematria as fake death. They both equal 61 in the same cipher. And then we see that Tupac Amaru was 34 in the same cipher as fake death. And then Tupac Shakur equals 40, just like death hoax. And then his real name, Lesane Crooks, equals 47, just like fake death. So there's just so many connections and evidence that proves that Tupac's death was fake. They even put this in our face with Suge Knight's son, who claims that Tupac Shakur is still alive and in Malaysia. So like I said before, they tell the truth in plain sight, but they also mix in a lie. They tell one truth and one lie. And right here, he's telling the truth that Tupac Shakur is not actually dead, but the lie is that he's in Malaysia. Have you guys noticed that all the conspiracies that they've created about Tupac, is to get you to think that Tupac is in Malaysia or Cuba, somewhere super far away, hiding out. But in reality, he's right in front of our faces as Quavo and Jacquees. So they want you looking everywhere else except the world stage that is right in front of you, pushing agendas. So this is why they get characters like this to make these conspiracy theories about him being in another country, so that people won't question the idea of him being in our face on the world stage right now. So as you guys can see, Suge Knight's son said they fooled you guys the first time, but he has been here. And then he made this other post where he said, updated video from Malaysia, source #Killuminati. Tupac's character tried acting like he was against the Illuminati and the powers that be, right? But in reality, he was connected with them because he's a part of it. And you can tell by the gematria. As you can see, Tupac Shakur has the same gematria as scripted, fiction, the devil, and reptile, because the devil and reptile symbolize low vibrational beings. And he gave us so many clues that he was going to be alive and fake his death. So he changed his name to Machiavelli before he died. If you rearrange the letters in Machiavelli, you get I am alive. And this was his last album. Apparently it was released after he died though. But as you guys can see, it says Machiavelli, the Dawn, Killuminati, the 7-Day Theory. So Machiavelli, the Dawn, Killuminati, the 7-Day Theory can be rearranged to okay, on the 7th, you think I'm dead, yet really I'm alive. And you guys can rearrange this for yourself. I did it myself to make sure that this was accurate, and it actually is. All the letters in Machiavelli, the Dawn, Killuminati, the 7-Day Theory can easily be rearranged to this phrase, okay, on the 7th, you think I'm dead, yet really I'm alive. And he got shot supposedly on the 7th. And he has this song called Untouchable, which is kind of ironic because his character apparently got touched, he got shot. But anyways, in this song Untouchable, he says, expect me to come back like Jesus.
Expect me like you expect Jesus to come back. Expect me, I'm coming.
So he's admitted multiple times that he was going to fake his death and come back as another character. And now we see that he's back with 2 new characters, which are Quavo and Jacquees. And also, he has more characters as well. I will make a separate video about that. Last thing I want to talk about is the connections that he has with Jesus, right? This last album was him crucified, just like Jesus. And in that song, he said he's coming back like Jesus. Because if you guys don't know, in the story of Jesus, he died, but then came back. And that's the analogy that Tupac is saying right here. A big connection between Jesus and Tupac. Not only does he have this album cover where he's crucified like Jesus, but Jesus and Tupac are both 5 letters. And then Christ and Shakur are both 6 letters. And before I continue with the connections between Tupac and Jesus, we have to talk about how Jesus is a character on the world stage. I talked about this in the past and they deleted my video. So if you guys want to watch that video, the link is in the description. I basically exposed how the Bible is fiction. It's not meant to be taken literal. And Jesus was just a character in a fictional story. And I'll make a separate video exposing the gematria with Jesus, because Jesus' death was completely scripted, which lets me know that this is just a story that they created. So let's talk about this white image of Jesus that is always being portrayed in the media and worldwide. Right? When you look at those candles that they have of Jesus, it's always a white man. If you look up Jesus right now, most of the pictures are going to be a white man. And this is all subliminal programming to get you to worship a white man. They're getting people to worship the slave owners, basically. So, as you can see, Jesus' character is modeled after Caesar Borgia. And here's some comparisons of Jesus and Caesar Borgia. And you can clearly tell that this white Jesus character is based off of Caesar Borgia. You can even see that they're doing the same symbolism right here. So I bring this up because Caesar Borgia is the image of Jesus, right? And Tupac is basically the rapper version of Jesus. So this is why Caesar Borgia and Tupac Amaru Shakur have the same gematria of 58 in the same cipher. And then we see that Tupac died on September 13th, which is Caesar Borgia's birthday. So tell me, what are the chances Caesar Borgia is the white Jesus, Tupac is the modern rapper Jesus, and Tupac fakes his death on Caesar Borgia's birthday? On top of that, they even have the same gematria. So there's clearly a connection here, and it gets even deeper because Tupac changed his rap name to Machiavelli, right? Which is a reference to Niccolo Machiavelli. So he named himself after a white man named Niccolo Machiavelli. And Niccolo Machiavelli used Caesar Borgia as one of his characters in one of his books called The Prince. The connection here is that Tupac changed his name to Machiavelli, which is this white man that is also connected to Caesar Borgia, right? He used him in one of his books. This is important to know because Tupac's mother, Afeni Shakur, died at age 69, right? And they announced her death on May 3rd, 2016, which ironically is Niccolo Machiavelli's birthday. So just to recap, Tupac dies on Caesar Borgia's birthday, and then we see that Tupac changed his name to Machiavelli, which is this white man who's also connected to Caesar Borgia, and Tupac's mother fakes her death on Niccolo Machiavelli's birthday. If that don't tell you that these two characters are scripted, I don't know what to tell you, because all of this is scripted. And Afeni Shakur, you know, Tupac's mother, is a character as well. I'll make a separate video exposing her other characters because her other characters are very obvious to see. Let's get even deeper with this. So Tupac's mom died at age 69, right? Ironically, Niccolo Machiavelli was born in 1469. So that's another direct connection. And then we see that Tupac died in 1996, which is 69 in reverse. And I noticed that Satanism and Freemason equal 96, and Tupac died in 96. And then Illuminati and New World Order equals 69. And then we see that Caesar Borgia, Tupac Amaru Shakur, Industry Plant, Freemasonry, and Nation of Islam all have the same gematria of 58. And yes, the Nation of Islam is also connected to Freemasonry, just like Christianity, Catholicism. Every religion is connected to Freemasonry, and I exposed that in my Patreon video that was deleted from my channel. I recommend you guys go watch that video. I exposed all celebrities and all religions in that video. I'll put a link in the description. And then we see that Tupac's original name, Lassane Parish Crooks, equals 107, just like ritual sacrifice in the same cipher. And the reason I bring this up is because Tupac's character was sacrificed just like Jesus was. You know, both of their characters were sacrificed on the world stage to get people to worship them in the future. So they literally have the same agenda with both of those characters. This is why Machiavelli, which is Tupac's stage name, has the same gematria as Jesus and Lucifer in the same two ciphers. They all equal 74 and 444. And you might be wondering, why do Jesus and Lucifer have the same gematria? And let me break it down for you. The reason why Jesus and Lucifer have the same gematria is because they both represent you. Like I said, the Bible is not meant to be taken literal. It was written in allegory. So this is why Jesus represents the light side of you, and Lucifer, aka Satan, the devil, whatever you want to call it, represents the dark side of you. Transcending duality is realizing God and Satan are the same entity, you. So you are God. You know, your higher self is connected to the source, which is God. You know, people call it God. So we are all a part of the divine source. So this is why the God character in the Bible even said that his name is I am. That way the reader is saying God is I am. You know, I am God. It's in plain sight. And our ego is the devil. So let's compare the two. The left side is God, Jesus, you know, higher self, divine source, whatever you want to call it. It all represents your higher self, which is higher chakras, higher self, love, wisdom, understanding, and healing. And then on the opposite side, you have the devil, which represents evil, you know, also known as Satan, Lucifer, all these things, right? All of that represents your darker side, which is your ego. So your ego is in the bottom lower chakras. It's your lower self. It's full of greed, lust, power, and physical wealth. That's what your ego wants. But your higher self, God, wants love, wisdom, understanding, and healing. So this is a deep topic, but it's very simple. Your higher self is God, your lower self is the devil. So when you partake in low vibrational activities, you are just feeding your ego, which is the devil, right? The analogy format. And then when you partake in higher vibrational activities like meditation, sun gazing, spending time in nature, loving others, all of that positive stuff is your higher self. Let me know if you guys want me to do a live stream about this, because I would like to answer a lot of you guys' questions. But for now, you can ask me questions on my Patreon. We have a group chat on there, and I also do personal calls. For those of you that have any questions, you can sub to my Patreon and you get access to 1 phone call per month. Unless you subscribe with the higher tiers, then you get access to more phone calls per month. So go check that out. The link to my Patreon is in the description. Last thing I want to point out is that Tupac was a part of the powers that be, right? The elites, the higher ups, all these things that people call them, the Illuminati, Freemasonry, all that stuff is all the same. As you can see, Tupac is doing symbolism with this other person right here. And then here he is doing symbolism again. And his name, Tupac Shakur, has the same gematria as Freemasonry in 2 ciphers. And then I noticed this picture of Quavo wearing these blacked out shades, and it looks like he's blindfolded, and ironically there's an eye symbolism in the background. And this blindfold reminded me of the Masonic initiation to the 1st degree. This is what they wear when they're getting initiated into Freemasonry. They wear this black blindfold, which is exactly what this picture reminded me of. And this is their main agenda. Celebrities were created to keep you blind and unaware of your reality and what's really going on. And most importantly, to keep you away from the knowledge about yourself. Which is the stuff I explained to you earlier, how you are God and the devil at the same time. And it's up to you if you want to be God or the devil. And don't feel bad if you ever doing low vibrational things. You always have the chance to change your life around and do more positive things. But the main goal is to make sure that you live majority of your life in the positive energy rather than the negative, because that will determine your next life. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you made it all the way to the end, shout out to you. Make sure you guys drop a like, because I put a lot of hard work into this video. It's basically a documentary on Tupac. So I really appreciate everyone that watches my videos. Make sure you guys subscribe, turn on post notifications, follow me on Instagram, subscribe to my Patreon. The links are in the description below. And check out me and Divine Sade's merch as well. We currently have a 5% coupon in the description. The discount code is launch5. When you use that code at checkout, you get 5% off on all of our merch. And all of our merch has free shipping as well. So go check that out. Our website is divinesade.com. The link is in the description. Thank you all for your support, and I'm out.